Safidi Atanisoa Tiana Tonya, Stefan Latham, Nomanjari Elson, Yves Fabio, Guy Anes Henry, Flosi Tahiri, Jean Christian, Citraka Valerio, Nick Fafa, Tolora Rakotumonfanji, Harrison Antonio, Jean-Luc, Jean Ferdinand, Panomenzana Theory, and Anja Navalona Zebia. Setting out for the Tunisian side, Yassine Ashuri, Mohamed Ana Jabala, Khaled Ben Abdelafid, Hossein Ben Haya, Rissem El Hayeb, Mohamed Ali, Mohamed Lali, Osama Baya, Omar Galsalui, Ahmed Rahi, Wasim Ifai, Yusuf Quira, Mohamed Hedi, Nordin Damul, Mohamed Amin, Ashraf Nali, Mohamed Aziz.
This is match day 1 in the under-20 Barthes Trophy 2023. We've already seen 2 games played early. Nico is
Sasa ngoja uone mbona. Ndio safari. Ndio safari. Ndio coach. Ndio coach.
And a big thank you to the Madagascar under 20 side. That was lovely. The challenge has been set. It's now time for kickoff. Kicking us off, ladies and gentlemen, from left to right. Tunisia receiving Madagascar.
Zima anasema inaingia mamono. Na kuna kitu kimebadilika. Kafokusu shika hiyo. Tania menembele.
Hiyo solution si hiyo bro.
Sasa menembele kupress ndio vichange nini?
Hakuna solution si kamera. Sio kamera bro. Sio kamera. Haki ya Mungu.
Hii game ni moto.
Sasa bora kaa.
Silikuwa tu hivi.
Macho bano hivi.
Try time for Tunisia. They draw first blood, ladies and gentlemen, in the third quarterfinal. Bring the scores to Tunisia 5, Madagascar 0.
Hivi tubadilishe hiyo step.
Not the best of kicks, but it does enough for the Tunisians to ease the pressure that was coming from Madagascar. Will be a line out for the Indian Ocean Island side. And this is Donovan Rakoto Arisoa. Once again, Tunisia forcing the turnover. Playing the ball downfield. That is the fly half, Ahmed Riahi. And the litany of handling errors obviously will be a cause for concern for Madagascar. They just haven't seemed to be able to string anything meaningful in the opening exchanges. But we do still have about 70 minutes to correct that. They currently trail by 5 points to 0. Currently under pressure from Tunisia, who are looking sharp, who are looking like a side on a mission, and that mission is to advance further in the Barthes Trophy. Remember, the action is live from the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi, Kenya. Once again, the Tunisians prodding forward. That was Mohamed Tlatli. The penalty advantage is with the North Africans. Once again, another foray into Madagascar territory. And Tunisia looking to reap maximum dividends. And from the infringement, the Tunisians signaling their intent. They will be kicking for goal. And it is the fly half, Ahmed Riahi, will be like of concentration in the run-up. Well, that kick was not productive, and the scores remain 5-0. We witnessed a low-scoring match between Namibia and Zambia. That was the second match this morning in the quarterfinal roster. And this one, echoing that match so far. That was Stephen Larkham, but he had his kick charged down. But thankfully, a moment of respite for Madagascar. Larkham again with the kick. It is high and hanging. Causes problems for the Tunisian fullback. Well, this game has been start-stop over the past few minutes. Probably a case of the nerves.
Not really, to be honest. Madagascar play a more, I could say, free-flowing game. Tunisia, on the other hand, want to set up and play a more structured style of play. And that contrast in the different strategies is what is, I think, leading to us finding ourselves in such a situation, because Tunisia are not able to deal with the pressure that is coming from the onrushing Malagasy, but then Madagascar also are not able to break through the structure that the Tunisia have prepared for today's game. So slowly by slowly, as the clock ticks on, maybe one of the two strategies will get the better of the other.
Certainly, as Madagascar beginning to see a lot more of the ball. And this is the Madagascar that we know, full of running. As they carry that ball over the halfway line. Going to the floor once again was Larkham. Randrian Jaffe has been a busy man as the Tunisians are penalized for not being 10. Remember, the Tunisians raced into the lead. They hold a 5-0 advantage over Madagascar. But we all know how dangerous Madagascar can be with ball in hand. Let's just catch a glimpse of the crowd that is here at the Nyayo National Stadium following the action. Remember, the gates opened at 8 a.m. First match was at 9 a.m. East African time, pitting Zimbabwe against the Ivory Coast. It ended 55-0 to the defending champions. And then Namibia, losing finalists in 2023. In 2022, were made to fight for that 2012 victory over Zambia. And as we speak, it is Madagascar driving forward, asking questions of the Tunisians. Larkham. This is brilliant ball work from the Indian Ocean side, but that wayward pass forcing a turnover and returning the Tunisians into possession. Omar Garceloui attempted to look for territory, but he was unsuccessful. It is Madagascar kicking the ball downfield. And once again, the Tunisians struggling with the aerial bombs from Madagascar. That's a beautiful change of direction as Madagascar keep the ball alive. That was Guy Ernest Andri. Remember, Madagascar lost in last year's semi-final to the eventual winners, Zimbabwe, while Tunisia finished 5th overall after putting in a very decent display. is a scrum feed inside the Tunisian half, and should Madagascar get possession, which they don't, as they're driven back by the bulkier Tunisian forwards. But the fear was that should they have found themselves in possession, they would definitely be very potent with the ball in hand. Another big kick downfield, doesn't find touch. Instead, it creates an opportunity for Madagascar to drive forward, and they drive forward through Hobiniania Tanteli. They have the penalty advantage that is taken quickly. The Tunisians are penalized once again for offside, and every penalty that they concede, they should be wary of that, especially against a Madagascar line with a quick fire backline. Well, that was a 50-50 ball, eventually claimed by the Madagascar number 13, Guy Ernest Henry. Just boots that ball deep into Madagascar territory. It's become a kicking game, but that was a big kick that excites a section of the crowd here at the Nyayo National Stadium. We're heading to the 20-minute mark, and it remains 5-0 in favor of Tunisia. Tunisia in the red strip, Madagascar in the green and white strip. From the line out, it is kept alive. That was Ahmed Riahi. His delivery just looking to stretch the Madagascar defense, which he does. Tunisia's physicality is definitely catching Madagascar in a bind. It will be another blow of the whistle. It will be another set piece. And definitely looking at the options the Tunisians have, they do have the option of running it in their backs, who look quite decent, or just keeping it tight in the forwards. We have seen on occasion in this match the Tunisian forwards bully the Madagascans.
Oh yeah, and one thing that's going to be a cause for concern for Madagascar is that Tunisia appear to be getting the momentum in their hands, because now they're carrying it off the ball, much quicker ball on the line out, and then keeping them just at the edge of the back foot, and this is going to be what makes the difference between the two sides. Clock is stopped there to allow for the treatment of one of the players, a late charge on the kicker by fly half Ahmed Riahi. He's lucky to get away with that one. And Elson Hasina will be going for touch of this penalty. Score still stands at 5-0 in favor of Tunisia. They came into this game as the lower ranked team, so quite a bit of a surprise that they are already leading, but it's still early days between these two teams. Good throw at the front of that line out there. by Rakoto Ariso. And then now the backs can play a bit of a hospital pass, but well received by Guy Ernest Henry. And then now that kick into open space in the backfield. But Madagascar had that advantage. Tunisia living dangerously here, giving away penalty after penalty. Perhaps now the center referee will be thinking of sending a warning to them for that repeated infringement. Tricky ball for Tanteli Rahinirina. But Madagascar maintain possession. Good carry from Frosi Tihari. And then Tahiana Laurent Joel. Long ball out by Yves Fabio. Madagascar playing from behind the gain line but maintaining possession. Rushing onto defense is Tunisia. And a quick restart there for the Malagasy. Beautiful dummy from Safidi Nantenaina. Into the 22, Madagascar goal. Long ball away by Stefan Lacham. Beautiful steps from his midfield partner. Now the big boys can get the tackles in. Safidi Anjarasoa. Flosi Tahiri again. It's fumbled, but still in the hands of Madagascar. Tanteli. And the referee decides this is enough for the moment. We will be having a penalty against Tunisia. They are raking up the numbers in dangerous territory. Same infringement, offside it is. And Stefan Lacham, Rakoto Harrison decides he'll take a shot at goal. His shot at point is going to be taken by Nomenjanahari Hasina. And it's successful for Madagascar. They trim the lead to 2 points. 5 points to 3 it is. Madagascar finally get the scoreboard ticking. A deep kick into Malagasy territory is well cleared by Yves Fabio. And now the counter-attack from Tunisia. Mohamed Amin fumbling with that one. Did he give away a penalty for offside? Referee says just the knock-on will do. A really unforced error there from the back three of Mohamed Amin and Redin Damul. Madagascar have just marched about 60 meters forward for free against Tunisia. To the backs now, Madagascar. Overloading on that open side. Good offload from Stefan Lacham. Playing as the name he was given, the Australian legend. And then now forced to put it to the boot is Jean Christian. But it's well fielded by Tunisia, just flirting with that touchline. It's going to be a good exit kick in the books of fullback Mohamed Amin Benarous. Madagascar, in the greater scheme of things, have advanced just 30 meters forward in this exchange. The farthest they went just outside the 22. Line out bias towards Tunisia, so referee says play on. Good carry from Wissem El Ayeb. And then now the big boys at the front row, Haleb Ben Abdelhafid, still going. Tunisia playing towards the edge. They go all the way. And then back inside now. It's Yassine Kashuri. And then that offload from Mohamed Tatli. But Tunisia rushing on to that breakdown have given away a penalty for not staying on their feet. Rugby, as a quick reminder, is played by men on their feet. And one of the training reminders is aeroplane landing, aeroplane taking off. If you take a nosedive, certainly you're going to crash land. Beautiful offloading from both teams, and now it's in the hands of Tunisia. The loose forwards and then the backs getting a fair share of that show of skill. But it is that man, Jean-Christian Rakotono Menjahari, that is at the end of a beautiful exchange of hands, hot potato rugby. In the end, it's a scrum feed for Madagascar. A handling error from Mohamed Amin at the end of that set play. Pressure being piled by the Tunisians, but Madagascar able to maintain possession. And then that up and under kick from Tiana Tonya, forcing Mohamed Amin to make yet another error under the high ball. Amin today has struggled with those bombs that are being sent from the Madagascar halfback. Should be the fourth now that he has dropped. And maybe now the Malagasy are aware and will continue to exploit that weakness, especially under these conditions where the ball can be a bit slippery. The forwards, on the other hand, are doing their work, but they'll need to do it better. Referee says driving from the side. A quick restart to catch them retreating. Beautiful offload off the floor by Yves Fabio. And another offload. Donovan Rakoto Arisoa rescuing the Malagasy. And the referee has had enough. He'll be having a word with Osama Baya, the number 5 number 8 rather, played here last year. So he has the experience to lead this North African team. But the penalty count certainly has gone into the red zone, especially that offside penalty. A long spiral kick. Beautiful kick into touch. Off the penalty, Madagascar have marched into the Tunisia 22. They've wrestled the upper hand away from their opponents, trailing by 2 points now. If they are able to make this visit to the 22 count, they'll take the lead. Line out. Well recovered by Tiana Tonya. And then now Sandy Nante Naina getting to work over the gain line. Recycling back inside. Stephanie Lakam on the lope. Selling dummies, and now the offload to Flosi Tahiri. Madagascar playing unstoppable rugby. He's cutting through the little man, Tiana Tonya, and then over the whitewash, but just so close. Madagascar thought they had scored, but the referee says another offside penalty. Surely, he'll be sending someone to the bin soon. Yves Fabio decides we'll have a shot at goal that should be taken by the captain, Rakoto Harrison. It's good territory, but he hands it to Elson Hasina, who slotted the first one, kicking ditches off the tee to the blindside winger. And spotting that red band wrapped around his head that has been a trademark for Madagascar rugby over the years. Shot at goal successful. So Madagascar take the lead in this one, 6 points to 5. They've finally woken up, haven't they? And Tunisia, having rattled them early on in the first half, need to recover and regain their lead. Good chase from Tunisia, but he lands in the hands of Madagascar, and a strong kick from Jarasoa. Well fielded by the backfield. Nuruddin Damol to his fullback, Mohamed Amin. And then slicing through, it's going to be an epic finish by the Tunisians. On the counter-attack, it's the fly half himself, Ahmed Riahi, who has restored Tunisia's lead. But just take a look at that counter-attack. Changing direction and then committing that late pass. Then Riahi, like a hot knife through butter. And then that soft handoff, giving him the momentum to go all the way over and score immediately after they had conceded. Tunisia now lead by 10 points to 6.
Well, certainly the game has opened up over the past 10 minutes. Both teams getting points on the board. It is Tunisia responding to those penalties from Madagascar. 10-6, all to play for here at the Nyayo National Stadium. Remember, it is a straight knockout. You win your match and you're through to the semi-finals on Wednesday. You lose and you drop to the classification fixtures. Conversion attempt is wide. The scores remain 10-6. Everything to play for here at the Nyayo National Stadium. And that is the moment the Tunisians sliced through the Madagascar defense. Brilliant running line there from the fly half Ahmed Riahi. Definitely a well-worked try. Great individual try, putting Tunisia in the lead. Play continues here at the Nyayo National Stadium. Will we see another response from Madagascar, as the Tunisians have been playing the more structured game, trusting in their set piece, because they definitely do have the advantage. We do know the Madagascar players are averse to going into contact, but brilliant when it comes to fielding the ball. Some very electric rugby once again as they look to attack. The fancy steps there of Hasina. That was some good forward ball, but the Tunisians looked to have forced the turnover or not. There is a break in play. There was a handling error by Tunisia. It will be a scrum feed for Madagascar just above the halfway line in Tunisian territory. Let's just see that again. It will be Tiana Tonya with the scrum feed for Madagascar. A big drive coming from the Tunisians as the Madagascans scramble to keep possession. Bit of consultation there between the center referee and his assistant, not in our picture. Another scrum feed for Madagascar as the buzzer for halftime sounds. This is probably going to be the last play, assuming there is a break, as we just catch a glimpse of the crowd here that is at the Nyayo National Stadium on match day 1 of the Rugby Africa Under-20 Barthes Trophy. Remember, it is the premier continental competition for national teams with players aged 20 and below, as Madagascar working the ball again to the excitement of the crowd. This game certainly opening up, certainly is entertaining, and indeed looking to be the most entertaining game of the roster so far. Remember, we did see Zimbabwe hammer Ivory Coast 55-0 and Namibia edge Zambia 2012. Let's just see those moments, the offloads. Those are some of the highlights from that motion of play. And it is halftime. Tunisia holding the 10-6 lead over Madagascar. More to come in the second half.
Now the Kenya Rugby Union would like to thank all individual and
It has been an eventful first half. What will the second half hold? Remember, we already have two teams into the semi-finals. Defending champions Zimbabwe started the day with a 55-0 victory over Cote d'Ivoire, while Namibia, former champions, defeated Zambia 2012 to book their place in Wednesday's semi-final. Second half action is on here at the Nyayo National Stadium. 4 points separating the two sides. The Tunisians are carrying the ball forward. It's looking to make a foray into the Madagascar 22. Cleaning up the ball. Driving forward through their back row, Mohamed Tlatli. That is the prop forward, Ben Ghaleb. This is Riahi bringing in his backs as the Madagascans throw their shoulders at the opponents. But it is Tunisia with the forward momentum. Big drive there from Mohamed Hedi Budokane. Try-line is in sight and they are driving forward, looking to reach the semi-final. Tunisia, remember, were fifth in last year's competition. They certainly have been the team with their nose ahead, and it shows in the scoreline. Try-line again in sight. Patient build up once again. Madagascar have been penalized, but it doesn't matter. Tunisia go over the whitewash, their second try of the game. Actually, the third try of the game. Brings the scores to 15-6 with the conversion to come.
That's high pressure off the restart from Tunisia. They got the ball working through their forwards and then the backs, and once it was inside the 22, you can see the jubilation from the backs as the forwards cooked. And what a juicy try that was. All the muscle and meat in there as the big five got to work, and what a try, forcing their way over and extending their lead right after the break.
Build up once again, setting the tone for the second half here at the Nyayo National Stadium. Madagascar have been penalized by the Rugby Africa Under-20 Barthes Trophy. Remember, the winner of this competition will get to play before these fans at this very venue in July, when the World Rugby Under-20 tournament is hosted here in Nairobi, Kenya. Definitely a lot to play for, and you can see the teams exerting themselves. And the goal attempt is successful. Brings the score to 17-6. And could this be the moment when Tunisia begin to break away?
Perhaps it is. They've struck early on like they did in the first half. Madagascar looked like they were coming close with those two penalties, but the scoreboard ticking is the most important thing in this game, because in the end, that's what matters most. And that's what Tunisia are doing as it stands early on in the first half and then late again towards the end of the match. Madagascar might need to respond as quickly as they can before they run out of time, or before Tunisia strike again. It's outside the try score, but any points on the board will certainly increase their chances of clawing back into victory like they did in the first half with those two penalties.
And from the scrum feed, it is Tunisia driving forward. That was some resolute defending from Madagascar, just applying the pressure. not allowing Tunisia to further accept themselves in this fixture. Another carry there from the Tunisian forwards, just entering the Madagascar 10. It is a great play from the men in red. They certainly have a spring in their step, and they've shown it since the first half, but beginning to come more into their own in the second half. And just as the sun begins to kiss the turf here at the Nyayo National Stadium. A kick behind the Madagascar defenders. Is it fielded? That was brilliant. Wonderful try indeed. The fourth try. Let's just see that again. Clever kick from Ryahi. And then grounded by Youssef Kouria. The Tunisians definitely breaking away, certainly rejuvenated after that halftime pep talk.
Yeah, for sure, and you wouldn't believe it, but they're playing Madagascar's game, that quick ball off the breakdown, and even much quicker with those offloads off the floor to catch the defense on the back foot, keeping them retreating, and then Ryahi knew when to strike. The entire defense was on the line, and that kick, chip and chase kick at the back, with two men chasing against one, there was only going to be one result, and that was try time for Tunisia.
Another sure conversion takes the score to 24-6.
The conversion from outline, ladies and gentlemen, is successful.
Tunisia continuing to put a lot more distance between them and the island of Madagascar.
Taking the score to Tunisia 24.
Certainly with 1 foot in the semi-final. As just see how that try was worked again. Clever kick from Ryahi. It was grounded by Kouira. And obviously from that 2v1 situation, there could only be one outcome. It was the try. It is advantage Madagascar. They certainly have a mountain to climb. But they are looking shell-shocked, really without any form of a response thus far. We saw them spark into life towards the close of the first half. And they will need to exhibit similar play, but not with that kind of execution from the line-out throw. Cheaply giving away possession. Then the turnover. Such is this game with its thrills and spills. Madagascar attacking down the left flank, carrying that ball into the Tunisian 10. There's carried forward by Laurent Joel Tahiana. The distribution, not the best, but fielded by Stephen Larkham. Not the Australian great, but the Madagascar under-20 fly half. Full names Stephen Larkham Rakoto Harrison, also the team captain. There is Rakoto Harrison, the twists and turns, lovely creation of space down that flank once again by the team from the Indian Ocean.
Too eager and a bit impatient, Madagascar. They had the front foot, they were playing, gaining ground, maintaining possession. They should have been more patient with that play. Keep the ball and then maybe work something as a team, but looking to be the hero will certainly cost them some points. And as it did, as the play was lost forward in that sequence there. Play to resume with a Madagascar penalty straight in front of the uprights. They had the advantage. The objective now is to get back that scoring run that they had towards the close of the first half. They've not been able to score tries today, but that boot of blindside wing Elson G. Hasina Nomenja Nahari keeping them in the game. Now the objective is not to stay in the game, but to get back in it. And he does well with that kick. 9 points to 24, the score stands. Elson Hasina able to split the uprights for Madagascar. The frequency of the points off the tee needs to be much quicker if they are unable to score the tries. Tunisia have scored 4 tries, only able to convert the 2 in the second half. It's a good restart kick, but that's an equally good reception from Tahiana Laurent Joel. But Madagascar have given away a penalty, with Joel adjudged to have held on to the ball on the floor. Tunisia had an option for a shot at goal, but they've opted to call for the scrum. Set piece in GC territory. But like we saw with Namibia leaving dangerously, opting to go for the 5 instead of the 3. Nearly cost them, but they were able to recover and get the win. But like the Englishmen say, bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Perhaps the 3 would have been a better decision, but they will be vindicated if they can make the 5 from this set play count. The Bucks now playing. Running Mezes is Riahi, the try scorer at the end of the first half. Well gathered by Mohamed Amin. And then playing towards the edge, Riahi again with that chip and cheesecake. But the defense this time is well aware, although they've given away a penalty. Knock on, and then playing the ball from an offside position. Referee says we'll take the penalty from the mark, as Tunisia nearly caught them unaware on that quick restart. Do they go to the corner? Do they go for the quick tap and go? To the corner it is. It's going to be a line out. One of the least successful ways to score points in the game of rugby, especially Test rugby, but one of the most trusted ways. If you're able to nail it, get that ball in the air, put the man on the floor, and then drive off that maul. Should be easy points, but can be a tricky way to finish the game. There, that's the knock-on and then offside offense that Madagascar gave away. And as you can see from that line out, ball not thrown straight to the number 6 position, but the referee has given them the penalty as Madagascar had more numbers in there. It's going to be a scrum feed. Another scoring opportunity goes begging by Tunisia, not able to scratch the ball, so scrum feed for Madagascar. Many players are not aware of those tiny details in the game. You know, the quick tap. The ball needs to clearly leave the hands, and it also needs to clearly go off the foot, not the knee, not anything, but the foot. And there's that penalty, that turnover given away by Umar Gaselau. Madagascar will be lucky to get away with this one. They're already trailing by 4 tries.
If they will be lucky, and as you said, the inability to utilize those little moments to just surge forward, coming back to haunt them. They've conceded 4 tries, and it is a 15-point deficit. They need to score. They need to score 3 times, 3 converted tries to surge ahead. But they're not going to do that if they're deep in their territory. That ball booted downfield. The Tunisian backs have been impressive. Some beautiful skill there, but the ball was on the floor and the referee will call for the infringement. Well, the one thing about both sets of backs is their fleet-footedness, their intention every time to attack space, and, you know, without any hesitance, free-flowing rugby at its best in this match.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that's what I would expect. That's what many would expect from age-grade rugby. These are still young players developing. This is an opportunity for them to express themselves, to show what they've got. And, well, systems win rugby, but you would want these young men to go and show what they've got. Then maybe as they're developing, they can get to play a more organized and a more systematic style of rugby.
Indeed, and talking about being organized and systematic, the Tunisians with another attempt at goal, just looking to ensure that the margin between them and Madagascar remains as wide as possible. We're heading into the 50th minute. Will be penalty attempt from Ahmed Riahi. He nails it, takes the score to 27-9. Tunisia certainly coasting in this one and looking good.
Shot on goal is successful by Tunisia. Getting that right is Ahmed Riahi.
That was Ahmed Riahi with that kick.
27.
And from the restart, it is Madagascar kicking the ball once again into the Tunisians. They just find the floor, create another opportunity to drive forward. From that quick ball, it catches everybody offside. I do believe the referee is playing the advantage. Tunisian forwards arriving in numbers. Another platform created. Strong carry. The try line is in sight. And he will not be denied. Tunisia certainly coasting in this game. And it was the man in shirt number 5, Wissam El Ayeb, was barging over the whitewash.
Number 3, that is Khaleb Ben Abdelafid. Make sure that he's signed.
Well, it was Khaleb Ben Abdelafid going over the whitewash. Takes the score to 32-9. Barring any calamity, one can say that Tunisia are coasting heading into the semi-final. Remember, they are looking for a place at the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy, which will be played in Nairobi in July. And the conversion is sure from Ahmed Riahi. Takes the score to 34-9. Tunisia are in cruise control.
You'd think that Tunisia is actually Madagascar with the way they are playing. That quick ball immediately after scoring, quickly recycling, the big men running at the front row, running like their second rows and loose forwards. That try is the testament of the work and the adaptation that Tunisia are putting into this game, and perhaps they could be a huge challenge to the perennial winners this season.
Definitely, and that is a searching run from Mohamed Anas Jabala. The crowd is excited here at the Nyayo National Stadium. Jabala going over the whitewash. The Tunisians are flying here in Nairobi. No sooner had we sung praises for them than they went over the whitewash again. Mohamed Anas Jabala going over the whitewash. 37-9. Let's just see that again from the restart. Straight into the waiting arms of Jabala. He has jet shoes. Something that would be of joy to the big men, to the front row union. And Jabala going over the whitewash for that try. 37-9 with the conversion to come.
Nothing excites me more than seeing big men running. And no sooner had we mentioned that the front row are running like loose forwards and tight forwards than the hooker Jabala deciding to show us a clean pair of heels. That for me is the best try we have seen so far today, and it is from an unlikely source in the middle of that front row. Tunisia playing very beautiful rugby today.
Certainly, the conversion is unsuccessful, and let's just see this. From the second half, it was 10-6 at halftime. They've pumped in 29 points. Actually, 27 points in the second half. Indication of how dominant they have been after the restart. Just a confirmation of the scores. It is 39-9 in favor of Tunisia. Tunisia in the red strip, Madagascar in the green and white. Definitely a lot of distance between the two sides. Quite interesting. Remember, Madagascar finished fourth in last year's competition. Tunisia were fifth. And there's one thing that we were talking in between the matches, and just mentioning the fact that Tunisia lost their matches last year in Nairobi by close margins. They certainly have worked on a lot of things, but it is difficult to judge off of one game. Although in another conversation with Zimbabwe head coach Sean D'Souza, he said he was looking forward to watch this game between Madagascar and Tunisia. And you can see why. Quietly in the minds of many, Madagascar came into this game as favorites, but it is Tunisia making a meal of that favorites tag.
Yeah, and you should say, first of all, Madagascar compared to Tunisia is a more rugby cultural-centric country. I could say North Africa is more known for African football, but Tunisia have put in the work. They've decided to build from the bottom with their women's team. They've decided to build with their under-20 national team. And I should say for a fact that the men that were here last year and have come back this year will be a very huge cause for concern in the Rugby Africa Cup, in qualification for the World Cup or any other test rugby tournaments. It starts here, but Tunisia, as compared to Madagascar, will be the team to watch moving forward, especially keeping an eye out for some of these young men.
Certainly, and looking at Madagascar, it is a team that causes problems for its opponents, but they have been neutralized thus far this afternoon by a Tunisian side that is effective and efficient. That kick downfield will go dead, but once again, we were talking about the ruthless efficiency of the Tunisians sticking to their structure and disrupting anything that the Madagascans had intended to plot and execute this afternoon.
I should say that's a bit of the commentators cussing there, mentioning that they're efficient, and then almost immediately making a first error off the boot. That kick overcooked, and it goes dead into the in-goal area. Scrum feed for Madagascar at this point. They should put some points on the board. The game's as good as gone. Might as well show us what you've brought all the way from the big island in the south of Africa to the heart of Kenya in the capital, Nairobi.
The ball is loose but claimed by the replacement scrum half, Jean Ferdinand. But not much ground gained by the Madagascans. They do have the advantage for the penalty. The Tunisians are guilty of infringing. But you got to love the way the Madagascar forwards keep the ball alive. Minimal contact. Another searching run there from Tahiana Laurent Joel. A platform there created. That was Riahi offside, but it is Madagascar still in possession. Driven back there by Yusuf Kuira. The referee calls the advantage. So what do Madagascar do? Do they look for territory? They elect to tap and go, and that is their number 8, Safidi Anjarasoa. The angled run coming to naught. Possession is lost. Advantage, Tunisia.
It's beginning to look like the kicks of a dying horse for Madagascar. Tunisia have found an answer for each of the queries that they have posed in this game. And now the 1 point where you would expect them to be doing well on those tap and go penalties. But even then, the supporting cast are not as aware as the man that's making that quick tap. And they are committing those handling errors, being isolated in play, and keeping Tunisia well in control and in the driving seat of this quarter-final match.
And remember, this is the third quarter-final match. Coming up at 4:30 p.m. is the East African Derby. Kenya against Uganda. A repeat of last year's quarter-final between the two sides. We had two matches played earlier on this morning. Zimbabwe defeating Ivory Coast by 55 points to 0 before Namibia posted a 2012 win over Zambia. The two sides making it through to the semi-final. And thus far it looks as if it is Tunisia who will be joining them in the last four.
And that's the beauty of African rugby as a continent. You know, there's this whole diversity in a region of 54 countries. We had Southern Africa taking on West Africa, and then a Southern African quarterfinal. Now here we have North Africa taking on the Lone Island Madagascar. Later on it will be the East African Derby. For sure, there's no more diverse blend of rugby that you will get anywhere on this continent, on this globe, on this planet.
Certainly, and we all know how matches between for Madagascar to field any kicks from Tunisia, finding themselves in a spot of bother. And you must give it to Tunisia, certainly have done their homework on Madagascar, noticing that their back three is struggling to field any high balls.
And also the bounce of the rugby ball, very tricky. Fullback there, Jean-Christian, very lucky that it ricocheting off the upright, bounced straight into his hands, and he had some men on that support. But that kick chase from Tunisia is all the pressure that they needed to turn over possession and get a scrum feed 5 meters away.
There's a big drive from Tunisia. And inevitably they go over. It is the number 8 and the captain, Usama Baya, the latest try scorer for Tunisia. They are coasting. Current scores 44-9. Let's just see that the Madagascans had no response to that storming run from Osama Baya, picking up that ball from the base of the scrum, making it easy for Ahmed Riahi to have a rather straightforward conversion.
Yet again. Another commentator's curse from you, Mr. Kwambo. Looked as easy as should have been. But Riahi's kick sails wide of the upright. I should say we might need to be careful as we sing praises of these young men on the pitch, because they then deviate from the known quality that they've been showcasing from the start.
Indeed, but he seemed a tad too casual in his run-up to that kick. And you could see that once it left his boot, it wasn't going to sail between the sticks. It is Tunisia creating another opportunity. At this point, one can say that Madagascar have capitulated, just looking to play out the clock, probably get some consolation points. They will be playing in the classification matches on Wednesday. Another break in play as we're heading into the final. As we're heading into the final 10 minutes. It remains 44-9 in favor of Tunisia. Madagascar being pinned back in their 22. They're not going to gain any ground receiving that ball from standstill. That was a brilliant line, though. This is Lakam. That was Jean Ferdinand. Safidi Nantenaina carrying that ball a few meters forward, but he is bundled out to touch. There is a Tunisian player on the floor. Not too sure whether he is winded or is just looking to catch his breath. Remember, Nairobi is at quite the altitude. That was the face of play for Madagascar. That really came to naught because they were bundled out to touch. And the man on the floor for Tunisia is Mohamed Hedi Boudokane. Scored a try in this match. Looks like he's gasping for air. Remember, we talked about the altitude factor. The teams have handled it rather well, but it is going to get to you at some point. Line-out throw wasn't straight. It is an opportunity for Tunisia, searching a run there as they carry the ball into the Madagascar half. Attacking down that right flank. The tackle is desperate as Tunisia enter the Madagascar 22. Madagascar have forced a turnover, but can they exit their 22? Not by that kind of play. Probably they can. Full of running, keeping the ball alive. This is great interplay from Madagascar, but the tackle is crunching, kills their momentum. Still Madagascar keeping possession alive. And one thing that is intriguing with Madagascar is the way they opt not to kick their way out of their 22, electing to run the ball. You'd think it's sevens, but it is the way they play their rugby.
Yeah, that's the rugby culture that Madagascar have, but Tunisia have responded, and they've shown today that they too can do it. And certainly from the score, it has shown that there are some results in that style of play. Let's see if Madagascar at this point will be able to make it count as they find some space through Rasonionova. Scramble defense from Tunisia to maintain that gap in score. Madagascar have not been able to score a try. Maybe this should have been the moment when they get some points on the board. Soul searching run from Harrison Antonio, and then that switch to Rasoniova, and he lost that ball in contact. stop the clock. You have to change a lot of settings. Clock text pause. Scrum feed for Tunisia of that scramble defense, denying Madagascar a chance, a sniff at their own try area. That's not the best of receptions of that kick. He'll be lucky to maintain possession. So Naivo, as that ball was already in touch. But let's see his reception, not the best. We're very lucky that Madagascar will maintain possession. I noticed that he's playing with an earpiece, not sure if that's some jewelry or it's just some tape on his ears. The man in number 23, also Naivo. But Madagascar need at least to score one try in this game for all their effort. But to do that, they will need to maintain possession of the ball. Tunisia force that turnover and have the knock-on advantage. Offloading nicely and into the 22. Dummy sold by Mohamed Aziz Lassi. He's just tapped and tackled short of the try line. Long ball out wide to the captain himself, Osama Baya. Did he score the try or was he forced into touch? He can't believe that he was unable to score, but Tunisia had the advantage. Let's take a look again at that carry. First the dummy from Mohamed Aziz, and then just short of the try line. Then the long pass out wide by Mohamed Amin to his captain, Osama. I think that's a try. I think it was a try, but perhaps not in the eyes of the sole judges of truth and fact, the men in blue, the referees. Ahmed Riahi will be looking to slot an easy 3 points from in front of the uprights. This time he makes no mistake at all to extend their lead to 45 points to 9. Tunisia have marched their way into the semi-final. They will be facing Zimbabwe in the first semi-final on Wednesday afternoon, and Madagascar will be facing Cote d'Ivoire in the first placement game at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Strong carry there from Wissam El Ayeb. Setting up for a box kick is Mohamed Aziz Lassi, but he decides to go into the pocket to Ahmed Riahi. And a penalty given away by the Tunisians on that chest, caught offside by the referee. And then now the quick restart. This should be Madagascar's chance to put some points on the board, and it could be none other than the captain himself, Stephen Lackham or Koto Harrison. There's nothing to smile about from the players on the bench, but that was a good score from Madagascar, rushing on for that quick restart. You could see that long pass out wide, and then quick tap there from Yves Fabio. And there's the captain doing the easy job, to score the points for Madagascar. Shot at goal is successful, so finally Madagascar have something to be happy about. They've put some 5 on the board. Tunisia now have their lead trimmed by just 7 points, from 44-9 to 40, from 45-9 to 45-16. As the clock ticks over the 80-minute mark. But we will await the sound of the hooter to signal the end of regulation time. That's some evasive ball carrying there from Raoso Naivo. But the ball has been turned over by Tunisia. They want to make this last play count. Ubadia Zagar, quickly recycled, offloading beautifully, and it is right time for Tunisia again. They've got to the half-century mark. The first game was 55 points to the good for Zimbabwe, but that good carrying from Kalai Ahmed, and then the offload to his hooker Mohamed Anas. There could only be one outcome from that phase of play, and that was the 50 points for Tunisia. A strong statement against the finalists in 2021, the bronze medalists, the 4th place finishers in 2022. And Tunisia have put a smile on all the fans back home in North Africa. There's the hooter before the conversion was taken. It's successful, and that will be the last piece of play in this game. Tunisia putting Madagascar to the sword in one of the shock results today. They progressed to the semi-finals of the Rugby Africa Under-20 Barthes Trophy by a humongous 52 points to 16 victory over Madagascar.
Kick behind the Madagascar defenders. Is it fielded? That was brilliant. Wonderful try indeed. The 4th try. Let's just see that again. Clever kick from Riahi. And then grounded by Youssef Kouria. Tunisians definitely breaking away, certainly rejuvenated after that halftime pep talk.
Yeah, for sure, and you wouldn't believe it, but they're playing Madagascar's game. You know, that quick ball off the breakdown, and